So when Blizzard nerfed farming dungeons, I thought LBRS would be too slow to be a worthwhile gold farm, but I recently spent about 8 hours dying in LBRS testing different types of pulls, and I found a way to make it a pretty decent farm. It's completely different from the old farm, and the gear requirements have also changed, so I'm going to go over that first, and then I'll show you how to do the run. Nothing too crazy about the talent trees here. I just come down and grab Repentance for a extra little ranged pull, and then you want to make sure that you actually do have Sacred Duty over here for the reduction of the Divine Shield cooldown, because we are using this as sort of a utility in this new farm. So make sure you have this and Repentance, and everything else is pretty standard. Now the gearing for LBRS in the past was more focused on avoidance because the kill times were a little bit longer and we just really wanted to survive until everything died. This time around we don't have the luxury of staying in combat for too long, so we do have to gear a little bit differently, which means we're going to be favoring spell power over avoidance without dropping too low because the mobs still do hit pretty hard. A balance that seems to work pretty well for me is between 65 and 75% avoidance while getting as much spell power as humanly possible. In this build, I'm using the Flask and the Superior Wizard Oil, so that means my holy damage is at 869, and my avoidance is down here at around 72%. As I'm sure you've noticed, a lot of my gear is pretty bad, and that's because I don't really play my Paladin outside of these gold farms. Now, a lot of people have access to way better gear than me, like 4-set T6 or even more than that, and I highly recommend that if you do have gear like that, that you wear it. The more spell damage you have, great. I would say probably just don't go below 65% avoidance. Unless your spell damage is just absolutely nuts, then you can probably go below that. But really, we just need to stay alive long enough to get these mobs down and not go over that 1-minute combat timer, as that's when you start getting stunned and things become really bad from there. So I'm also using a force reactive disc here. If you're not an engineer and you cannot use this, then I recommend just getting more spell power. Instead, you can counteract the damage that you lose from this with more spell damage. So don't worry about that too much. But yeah, just put on the best gear that you have for spell damage and try to make sure your avoidance doesn't drop below 65, 60%, something like that, and you'll do just fine. So the run here starts off pretty much how I used to. We got to pull all the mobs in this very first room using a combination of Hammer of Justice or Judgment, Rank 1 Consecration, etc, etc. One thing you do need to make sure is that you don't use your Repentance, as we'll be using that on the Raider once we come out of this room. Now that we're limited by the amount of time we can spend in combat, it's kind of important that you try to maximize your efficiency when you're doing these pulls, as the less time you spend doing the pull, the more time you have during the kill phase, which is when it's really important. When you come up with the ramp, grab this pack on the left here, and then run back into the right corner and grab the additional 2 groups. And then we're going to do something different. We're going to actually jump up onto this ledge, and with the new mechanics that Blizzard implemented to stop us from gold farming, we're actually going to be able to teleport all the mobs directly to our location and nuke them down. On this pull, make sure you pop your wings, and if you need to, you can pop your Colossus trinket here as well. Once I jumped up here, I also used mana tap on the pack on the left there so that the mobs teleported up, but you see that sometimes the spellcasters will remain on the ground. This is because we're still in their LOS, so they're just going to shoot spells at us until they run out of mana, and then once they do, they'll teleport up to the platform with the rest of the mobs. You'll also notice here that I didn't pop my spell damage trinket because I want to make sure that on the next pull I have a damage increase ready to go so that I don't go over that 1-minute timer. If you're using gear like me, then you're going to have to kind of rotate your cooldowns to make sure that you get the mobs down in time. Start the next pull here with this patrol that comes through the hallway, unless of course you already killed it, and then you can just start it with these 2 groups here by the ledge. I like to just use a rank 1 consecration to pull both of them at the same time, and then I jump down and grab all of these groups here at the bottom. I also Hammer of Justice this Raider, and then you'll see me pop rocket boots here. It's not really necessary, but I like to do it because it was off cooldown. And then I pop my bubble and I pull the group in the back corner, and then run over to the left side of the bridge where there is a rock that we'll be using for another teleport. The reason we pop Divine Shield is because the casters will not cast spells at you, so that means they'll teleport directly to your location without casting anything from the bridge. At this point, I pop my spell damage trinket and I get all the mobs down as quickly as possible. Again, another benefit from standing on this rock is that the mobs actually can't run away anymore, so you'll just be hitting them with consecration pretty much the entire time here, and you'll also be able to loot all of them in one location, which is also really nice. This pull is going to be a standard pull that doesn't use any sort of teleport techniques, so It's pretty boring. Just start here with this first group, do a ranged pull on them, grab the group on the right, and then run through these backpacks here, go around the corner here. Don't get stuck on the wagon like I did, because you take unnecessary damage. And then you want to grab all these groups, and then look at these ogres, pull them as well. I used a mana tap there, but you can use whatever. And then just continue to run. Make sure you use Blessing of Freedom to counter the nets. Grab the last group and jump on the ledge, and run along the ledge here and around the corner. This kill phase is actually pretty annoying because the mobs do have the ability to run away as we're not using any sort of teleport here. Now, if you have a way to optimize this pull and you found it to be very consistent, please let me know in the Discord or in the comments, and that would be really cool because then we could further optimize this farm and make it even better. But unfortunately for now, this is all we got. You're just going to kill the mobs here around the corner outside of LOS so that they all run up to you. I like to pop my wings here and my Colossus as well. As I said, we're rotating our cooldowns and we don't need our wings for the next pull, so we're going to use it here. Sometimes when you're doing this kill and the mobs start running away, they can actually flee down the ramp and pull like 3 or 4 trolls down at the bottom of the ramp there. It's not really a big deal. Don't worry about it if it happens. You could just kill them. But they do have like a knockdown and a heal, so it's not really efficient for that to happen. So hopefully you have good flee RNG and you don't pull those mobs. But if you do, then don't trip. It's not really a big deal. Just kill them and move on. So if you've done everything correctly up to this point, then your Divine Shield should be coming off cooldown right now, which is perfect because we're going to be using another one of those teleport techniques on this next pull here. So you can pretty much start this pull as soon as your Divine Shield has around 15 to 20 seconds left, as it will be available once we need to use it. We're going to start this next pull with a ranged ability here on this first group, and then we're going to run down the canyon. You don't have to pull the groups on the right here. They will aggro on their own, and we'll just keep moving forward here into this little clearing where we're going to be pulling 4 or 5 packs and then use our Divine Shield, run into this hole in the wall on the right side, and then jump onto a rock where we're going to be using another one of those fancy little teleport techniques that Blizzard has provided for us. This pull is actually so small that I don't typically pop any cooldowns on it besides Divine Shield, as we're going to need our big damage for the next pull because it does have a lot more mobs in it and we're in much bigger risk of dying there. One thing you should know about this pull is sometimes you will get a rare spawn called Bannock Grimax or something like that. And I want to tell you that if you end up getting that rare spawn, then do not use this teleport location. What will actually happen is, because he's considered a boss, is he will teleport you to him, and the mobs will actually teleport up to the rock, and then everything will just get kind of crazy, and some mobs will be on the rock and some won't, and you'll have a rare teleporting you all over the place. So if you do end up getting that rare spawn, then what you need to do is, instead of jumping on this rock, just kind of come down right below where the rock is and LOS the mobs and kill them there. If you want to, you could just run in and pre-kill the rare if you find him, and then you can do the pull like this, but it's really up to you. So just make sure that you're checking that every time you come down here. Otherwise your pull could be ruined, and then you're looking at much higher timers, and you might even die. So that would be really unfortunate. So just make sure you keep an eye out for that guy. The next pull is going to be a standard pull with no teleporting, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. We're going to pull this group on the left with a ranged pull, go back here behind the wagon in the corner, and grab all these remaining orcs in this room. Then we're going to run down here. I had rocket boots again, so I did pop it here, and it was kind of useful. So if you have rocket boots, then I still suggest you use them, as it can be somewhat useful in LBRS. And then we're going to come over here, grab the boss, and grab all these nearby spiders, and then we'll just kind of use this little metal ledge to LOS the firecaster guys and just start popping our cooldowns here and get everything down. As you can see, I kind of just have a cluster of mobs surrounding me, and it's just kind of ugly and messy. So this pull is also not really that optimized, and it's kind of gross, but it does work and it's not too dangerous. I don't typically have any problems with it. But if you have a better way to do this pull, then again, let me know in the comments or in the Discord. I suggest that you don't use teleport techniques if you are trying to optimize this, because with the boss here, you will be teleported by the boss, and again, it'll be the same thing as that rare spawn that I mentioned. But you don't really have too many problems here. Just kind of get everything down and get it all looted up. This is one of my favorite areas because of all the silk that you get, and it sells on my server for around 5 gold each, and you can make quite a bit of money in just this one area. So yeah, it's pretty nice. We're gonna finish this farm off with the remaining spiders and ogres and bugs. but we're going to get one extra pack of ogres from down below, and you'll see exactly how I do that in just a few seconds here. So I just typically run up here and pull these ogres with like a rank 1 consecration and then grab whatever is left. And then we're going to actually go to where the bugs are located, the very first group of bugs, and go into the little tunnel there, look down into the right side and do a ranged pull on the group of ogres that is right there. And this will actually teleport them directly to your location, and you get a few extra mobs out of this run, which is pretty neat. It's kind of like you just death grip them up to you. Now, you typically would have killed that entire boss room in the old farm, but I decided to cut it out for efficiency's sake and because of the timer constraints. But with this, we're able to at least get a few extra groups from down below, so that's pretty nice. But as you can see, after we grabbed those ogres, we ran over here to the second group of bugs, and this is where we LOS and kill all the remaining mobs. If you have any cooldowns remaining, you can pop them here, as this is going to be the last kill phase that we do for this run, and then we're going to be jumping down onto the wagon to do our logout reset. So as you can see, LBRS is still a perfectly viable farm as long as you're doing it the correct way. If you want to see more videos like this in the future from me, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm always looking to optimize dungeon farms, and with these new changes, it looks like we're going to have to go back and do a lot of these farms over again to make them viable once more. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.